Today, we're gonna go over a step-by-step checklist to help you guys coach in the flow of the game. So let's go. So for me, one of the hardest things to do as a coach is to actually coach in the flow of the game. I think it's a lot easier to plan out a session. You can be ready for when that coaching moment occurs, step in, make a change, help a kid out. But oftentimes what happens is you get into the game and the emotions take over. So you forget objectively, what was the game plan? What were we trying to do? What is the other team doing currently that we could make adjustments for? So I developed this checklist to, one, get my mind in the right framework for the game, but two, to be able to go through a systematic process for evaluating information and then using that information to help the team in the game. The first thing in the checklist is the pre-game talk, which I think is really important because it sets everything in motion. And I see coaches mess this up all the time, especially in the younger ages, where they just talk way too much. They give way too much information, and the kids are excited. They just want to play the game. So the three things that I try to give every pregame talk: one, I want to talk about what we're going to do in possession. And that might be build out, it might be taking advantage of a particular part of the pitch. Maybe I want to play a lot to the wide areas, something like that. The second thing is I want to talk about out of possession. So are we going to press? Are we going to hold back? Is there a particular thing that I've seen in training that I don't like? For example, if I really want to work on our 1v1 defending, the one point out of possession I might make is, guys, we got to defend side on today. Okay, we can't stab. And lastly, I like to give one element of motivation. So this could be as simple as, guys, we got to win our 1v1 tackles today, or let's go out there and let's show some intensity. The next step in the checklist is to get some basic information about your opponent. So you can start by doing that at the kickoff, with the first being, what is the basic shape that they're in? And the best way to do that is to start looking at the back line. So for example, at 7v7, a back line of 2 would likely represent a 2-3-1, whereas a back line of 3 likely represents a 3-2-1 or a 3-3. At 9v9, you can make some of the same observations. Are they playing with 2 center backs, or are they playing with a back line of 3? The other thing you can do is get an idea of, are they organized? Are they in a specific shape? Are the midfielders spaced out correctly? Do they have an organizational structure about them? The other thing you can do from just a human perspective is, do the kids look like they're excited, aggressive, ready to go? Is the keeper engaged right from kickoff? Once you've got a basic framework for your opponent, you're going to start looking at some specific elements. So as the first half gets started, I want to think about, what is the opponent doing with the ball? So specifically in that scenario, are they playing more direct? Are they playing out of the back? Are they building? Are they looking to try to play one player or one side of the field? You're going to want to make note, especially of set pieces, specifically corners. So are they always running short corners? Is their midfielder maybe always going to the corner flag right away on every single corner? You're going to want to inform your team about that. And then what are they doing out of possession? So are they pressing us high? Are they sitting back? Is it organized? Is the press organized? Do they look like they're trying to close space effectively, or are kids just running all over the place? And then you're going to want to try to identify players on your opponent's team who could be dangerous. So this isn't always attacking players, but obviously you're going to want to really identify, okay, where are the threats coming from? Where could the goals come from? And then you're going to want to look at defensively, are there players that maybe are going to be better or more skilled than our attacking players? Are there certain parts of the field where we might have the advantage, either on the wing, maybe centrally? Just little notes like that where you can really start to help your players out. And then you're going to want to try to give that specific information to your players. So you might say, hey, watch number 9. Watch number 9. He's got a lot of skill. Keep him in front of you. Also, let's say, for example, that when the opponent's out of possession, they're really pressing you high. Well, let's just say that your right center back's a little bit stronger than your left center back. You might want to tell your goalkeeper, hey, let's roll it out to the right a few times, see how that goes. Once you get to half, you should have a really good idea as to what the opponents are trying to do and what their strengths and weaknesses are. So just like the pregame talk, I like to focus on 3 things, because again, guys, you're not going to be able to give a ton of information to these youth players. Pick out one thing in possession that you want to do, work on, or get better at. Pick out one thing out of possession that you want to do, work on, or get better at. And then one more motivational element. As you get into the second half, you're going to want to think about what adjustments do I need to make to put my team in the best spot to succeed. So typically the way I think about this is, what are the things that we're doing well that's causing us to be successful? And then what are the things that we're not doing well? So in terms of the things that you're doing well, we don't really want to change a lot of those things. The things that we're not doing well, we want to try to make adjustments for. So let's say that our press is really not that effective. For the first 10 minutes or so of the half, I might tell them to sit back, let them bring the ball up. Also, let's say that we're struggling building out of the back in the wide areas. Well, I'll start focusing on some patterns of play that involve the central part of the field. The last element of the checklist is the post-game talk. And this is a really valuable time where a coach can connect with the team. What I suggest is, again, keep it very simple. 3 things. One thing that went well. And even if you lose a game by a lot of goals, you can always find one thing that went well. Like somebody scored a goal, there was a great tackle, we didn't stop fighting, we didn't stop trying. And then you want to highlight something that didn't go well, something that maybe going into training that week is something you'll focus on, or something you want to see better. And then the last thing is, again, just a motivational element. Okay, you can get better no matter what. Let's say that you were down 4-0 at halftime, you end up losing 4-2, you won the second half. Something that keeps the players motivated and continuing to want to improve and get better. So that's the checklist. And for a while, I would actually have it written down on a small piece of paper just to remind myself. I go through it so many times now that I don't really have to do that. But the other thing that I wanted to discuss with you guys are some in-game coaching best practices. So the first one is not joysticking. And what I mean by that is, you want to give your player information, but still allow them to make the decision in real time. So you might say, hey, this player is really pressing us high, or hey, there's space open in the wide areas, but you're not going to say, pass it to this person. You don't want to give them specific actions to do. You want to let them make those decisions for themselves. The second point is picking the coaching moment. So I tend to try to coach mostly when the ball's out, when the ball's dead. I see a lot of coaches that are constantly yelling and screaming as the ball's in play, and this can be really distracting for especially youth players. The third thing is, you really want to avoid multiple voices. So I've coached against teams before where they had 3, even 4 coaches on their sideline, and each one of them is giving information. And I really would say, as a coaching staff, if you've got multiple sort of people there with you, an assistant, 2 assistants, you want one voice during the game. So they should really just have to hear one person and one set of directions. Now, the assistants obviously can help, but you don't need multiple people barking orders left and right. Lastly, as much as you can, try to take the emotion out of it. This is very much easier said than done, and I'm absolutely guilty of this myself, but try to think about it from an X's and O's standpoint, an objective standpoint. What are the things that the other team's trying to do? What are the things that we're trying to do? And how can I give my players specific information without getting too emotional? Hey guys, I hope you liked the video. Please send me your comments, your questions on the checklist, on in-game coaching, anything in the comments section, or reaching out to me with the email directly. Love to interact with you guys and hear what you have to say. Thanks so much.